My town of Maplewood every fall brought a burst of red, golden, and orange leaves that covered the street like a giant autumn blanket. Kids dragged big piles, jumped in them, and then racked them again. But out of all the trees on Pine Street, one stood taller than the rest. The great maple, a massive old tree everyone loved. 12 years old Ellie Thompson, a shy girl with a sketchbook always tucked under her arm, loved the great maple like a friend. She drew it in every season: spring blossoms, summer shades, fall colors, and even winter's bare branches. But this year something strange happened. As fall came to an end, leaves all over town fell and blew away, except for one. A single bright red leaf clung to a low branch of the great maple. It did not flutter, it did not curl, it just held on. People started talking, maybe it's good luck, said Mr. Parker from next door. Maybe it's magic, whispered the children. Even Ali wondered if something special was happening. Every day on her walk home from school, Ali stopped to sketch the leaf, and every day the leaf seemed to glow a little brighter. Even as winter wind grew stronger, one cold afternoon, Ali saw her classmate Max, the loudest kid in school, poking at the leaf with a long stick. Max, stop, she shouted, running towards him. Max shuddered. It's just a leaf. No, Ellie said, and shaking from the cold and anger. It's important to the tree, to everyone. Max rolled his eyes. It's gonna fall anyway. Ellie did not know why, but she stopped in front of the leaves like a god, then let it fall on its own. Some things deserved patience. Max hesitated, surprised by her sudden bravery. He dropped the stick and walked away. Ellie stood there for a moment, breathing heavily. Then she gently touched the leaf. It was warm, warmer than it should have been in winter. Later that week, a snowstorm hit Maplewood. The wind hollowed, the house shook, and the great maple bent under the weight of the storm. Ellie stayed up all night thinking about the leaf. The next morning, she rushed outside, boots crunching in the snow. She ran to the tree, heart pounding. The leaf was gone. Ellie felt her chest sink, but then she noticed something, a small spot, bright and green, poking up near the base of the tree, a new beginning, a quiet promise. Ellie smiled. That afternoon, she saw Max starting at the sprout out. He kicked the snow nervously. Oh, sorry about the leaf, he mumbled. Ellie nodded. It's okay. Some things fall, so better things can grow. Max grinned a little. Want help to protecting the sprout? Ellie handed him a small stick and some ribbon. Yeah, let's protect it together. And from that day on, the great maple had two guardians, one brave, one loud, both learning that real strength is not in being the best or the toughest, but in taking care of something that needs you. True strength comes from helping others, not from trying to stand out.
Once upon a time, In the cozy village of Willowmere lived two best friends, Leela and Finn. Leela loved to draw stars, and Finn loved to build little machines from old clock parts. Every night, they sat by the window of Leela's treehouse, gazing up at the twinkling sky. One evening, as they watched the stars shimmer, something strange happened. A beam of silver light streaked across the sky and landed in the field behind the treehouse. "Did you see that?" Leela whispered. "Let's find it," Finn said, already grabbing his lantern. When they reached the spot, they found something glowing in the grass, a tiny golden key, warm to the touch and engraved with swirling constellations. "It looks like a star," said Leela. "Maybe it belongs to one," Finn replied. That night, as they held the key up to the sky, a voice as soft as the wind whispered, "The door to the stars awaits." The golden key floated from Leela's hand and drifted toward an old oak tree. With a shimmer, a door appeared in its trunk, its frame made of moonlight. Leela and Finn looked at each other, grinned, and stepped inside. They found themselves standing on a path made of glowing stardust. Around them floated planets like lanterns, and friendly comets zoomed by, leaving trails of glitter. A kind old star named Serafini appeared, her light gentle and warm. "Thank you for finding the Starlight Key," she said. "It was lost long ago. Without it, we stars could not shine so brightly." She handed them each a small crystal. "These are star seeds. When you feel brave, kind, or curious, they will glow to remind you that you carry starlight inside." After helping Serafini return the key to its place at the heart of the sky, the children found themselves back in the treehouse. The night was still, and their lantern flickered softly. "Do you think it was real?" asked Finn. Leela smiled, looking at her glowing crystal. "I think it still is." And from that night on, whenever they looked up at the stars, they swore the brightest one winked right back at them.
In the quiet town of Mapplebrook, where kids rode their bikes on wide streets lined with orange maple trees, lived a 12-year-old boy named Mason Parker. Mason was friendly, funny, and full of energy, but he had one habit: he talked a lot. Mason talked so much that he rarely paused long enough to listen. At home, he interrupted his parent. In school, he finished his teacher's sentences. And with friends, well, he always jumped in with his own stories before anyone else could finish theirs. Everyone liked Mason, but sometimes they wished he could slow down, just enough to listen. One Monday morning, Mason rushed through the school's hallway, waving at friends and telling jokes. But someone was missing: his best friend Jay. Jay was the quiet one, soft person, gentle, always smiling. But today his seat in class remained empty, and the next day too. Mason noticed, but he was so busy talking about soccer practice and video games that he did not stop to wonder why. On Wednesday afternoon, while Mason was shooting hoops, Jay finally appeared. He was walking alone, head down, shoulders low, and eyes tight. Mason leaned toward him. "Jay, dude, where have you been? You missed the funniest thing in maths class." But before Mason could finish, Jay whispered, "Nothing right now, please." Mason blinked. Jay had never talked like that before. For the first time, Mason felt something he was not used to: silence. And a tiny voice inside him said, maybe you should silent." That evening, Mason asked his mom if he could visit Jay's house. She agreed. The sun was setting when Mason walked up Jay's porch, stepped and knocked softly. Jay opened the door with red-eyed and puffy. Instead of talking, Mason simply asked, "Do you want to talk about it?" Jay did not answer it with words. He stepped aside and let Mason in. The school was unusually quiet. No TV, no laughter, no warm smell of dinner. Everything felt heavy. They sat on the couch. Second passed, then minutes. Mason wanted to speak, but for the first time ever, he held back. Finally, Jay said in a trembling voice, "My parents, they are getting divorced." Mason's heart dropped. Jay continued, "I did not know how to talk to, and I thought maybe you would not understand because you always have something to say." That hurt Mason's a little. But he knew Jace was not trying to be a mean. He was just being honest. So Mason did something he had never done before. He listened, truly listened. He did not interrupt. He did not try to give solutions. He did not change the topic. He just sat with his friend, letting Jay talk, cry, pause, breathe. And slowly, Jay began to feel lighter. Over the next few weeks, Mason made real changes. When Jay talked, Mason stayed quiet. In class, he raised his hand after others finished. At lunch, he asked questions from friends and waited for their answers. People noticed. His teacher noticed, and Jay especially noticed. One afternoon, as they sat at the school playground watching little kids on the swing, Jay nudged him and said with a smile, "You know, you are a really good listener now." Mason grinned. He did not need to say anything. His smile was enough. Sometimes being a good friend isn't about what you say, it's about what you are willing to hear. Mason learned that listening isn't just staying quiet, it's giving someone your attention, your heart, your patience. Through listening, he became a true friend and a kind person. Listening is one of the greatest gifts we can give because sometimes one moment of listening can heal someone's heart. Once upon a time, in a peaceful little town named Willowbrook, there lived a boy named Arman. He was bright, kind, and full of dreams. But there was one thing he never understood well: the value of time. Arman loved to sleep late, play games for hours, and delay his walk until the very last moment. Every morning, his mother would remind him, "Arman, time is precious. Once it's gone, it never comes back." But Arman would laugh and say, "Oh, Mama, there's always tomorrow." One day, Arman's school announced a science competition. The first prize was a beautiful golden watch and a scholarship to a famous academy. Arman was thrilled. He promised himself that he would build the best project ever. But he had 3 weeks, so he decided to relax first. The first week passed and Arman played with his friends. The second week passed and he spent it watching cartoons and sleeping late. Finally, on the last 3 days, he remembered his project. He rushed to gather materials, but nothing worked as planned. The glue would not stick, the wires got tangled, and the clock he tried to build simply would not move. On the day of the competition, Arman stood sadly beside his unfinished project. Around him, other students proudly displayed their working models, shining windmills, robots, and even solar lamps. The winner was his classmate, Sarah, who had spent every day carefully building her project step by step. When the principal handed Sarah the golden watch, he said, "Children, this watch is not just a prize, it is a reminder. Every tick of the clock teaches us that time waits for no one." Arman felt his heart sink. For the first time, he understood what his mother had meant. That evening, he walked alone. Quietly, his mother welcomed him and with a warm smile and gently said that, "Did you learn something today, my son?" Arman nodded. "Yes, Mama. I learned that wasting time is like losing a part of your life. I won't let happen again." From that day on, Arman changed completely. He began to wake up early, plan his days, and finished his tasks on time. Slowly, his grades improved, and his teacher began to praise him for his hard work. A year later, another competition was held. This time, Aryan was ready. He worked every day after school, used his time wisely, and built a small solar powered clock that worked perfectly. When he presented it, everyone clapped, and Arman finally won the golden watch. He smiled and whispered to himself, "This isn't a watch, it's a symbol of time well used." From that day onward, Arman became known as the boy who respected time. He grew up to be a successful engineer and often told young children, "Time is the most valuable gift we all have. Use it wisely because once a moment passes, it never returns." Moral of the story: time is more precious than gold. It never stops, never waits, and never comes back. Those who respect time find success. Those who waste it lose opportunities forever. Once upon a time, in a peaceful village named Plumage, lived a young boy called Ayan. He loved helping others, but he was often unsure whether people noticed or appreciated him. One morning, the village chief announced, "We will have a big flower competition. Whoever grows the most beautiful flower will be rewarded with a golden badge of honor." All the children got excited. Each one received a seed from the chief. But the chief smiled mysteriously and said, "Remember, only sincerity will make you flower bloom." Ayan ran home happily. Every day he watered his seed, gave it sunlight, and cared for it with love. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months, but nothing grew from his pot. His friends, however, showed beautiful flowers, red, pink, and yellow. They laughed and said, "Ayan, your flower must be lazy." Ayan felt sad, but he kept caring for his pot sincerely, just as the chief had said. Finally, the competition day arrived. Everyone bought their colorful flowers. Ayan came with an empty pot, his eyes full of honesty, but his heart full of doubts. When the chief walked around, he stopped at Ayan's pot and smiled. Everyone else has beautiful flowers, he said, but Ayan's empty pot tells the truth. The children looked confused. The chief continued. The seeds I gave were cooked and could never grow. These flowers you see were grown from different seeds, but Ayan, he stayed sincere and honest. That's real success. The crowd clapped loudly. Ayan's eyes filled with tears of joy. He realized that true sincerity isn't about results. It's about doing your best with honesty and heart. From that day on, Ayan became the most trusted boy in Blooming, and everyone learned that sincerity blooms brighter than any flower.
Sincerity means doing the right thing with a pure heart, even when no one is watching. The story is that Ayan became a well-known boy for his honesty and sincerity. We also follow this lesson and doing good things without any weight of results and reward. Just like Ayan.